Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Luka Dončić's frustration with officiating is growing. How much is too much? That's what we'll ask next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcast, this one's always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube. So we can go hang out with over 33,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom, Andy, are wondering if the Lakers are going to turn things around against the Bucks and the Nuggets coming up in a couple of days. And of course, Andy, we know the Lakers can be a little shorthanded during all these things, and they're going to need an engaged and productive Luka Dončić to get through this stretch without LeBron. And Andy, Luka's frustration with the officials, it seems to be growing. Maybe he's just getting more comfortable in LA. Maybe this is just the LA version of what we've seen in Dallas. He has that reputation. But you've certainly noticed a bump up in his interactions with the refs.
He got a tech Monday night versus the Nets. I'm trying to find the exact count since becoming a Laker. It's actually less directly documented than I expected, going through a few different.
It's at least three.
It is at least three. I know he got one against the Nets, one against the Knicks, one against Dallas. There is maybe a fourth. I think he is up to 9 so far this season, including the carryover from Dallas, as I tweeted out recently. If you're looking for a bright side to Luka, having missed about 6 weeks or so with the calf strain, it's that it put him behind his typical pace for techs. Like usually this season, he is much, much closer to the 16 that is an automatic 1-game suspension. Anthony Edwards just served one of those. Luka is every season hovering around that 16 tech mark, if not blowing past it. And there is, he commented after the game last night, he was asked about it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a lot talking about the frustration that he felt dealing with the officials. It wasn't fair, but we just got to play the game. I got to keep playing the game. But it was a lot, man. Not going to lie. He later, when asked about this as like a follow-up, held his tongue more, but he did say something to the effect in his post-game about, you guys saw the game. Austin Reeves also expressed some frustration as well, noted that the Nets got to the line 12 more times than they did, although Austin got there 11 times himself. And I'd say, not that I think Austin was complaining on his own behalf, but Austin would be the last guy in the world to ever complain about not getting a favorable whistle for a guy that has been.
There's some pots and kettles going on here.
Well, I mean, Austin in particular, for a guy that has only been in the league, I think this is now his 4th season and has never made an all-star team. Austin gets an exceptional amount of whistles. I'm not even saying they're all unearned, all grifted, whatever. I'm just saying, dude.
No, he is a, you know, I know this is a subject that gets people really frustrated. You know, over the weekend, there was a clip of SGA going around NBA Twitter where he jumps back sort of towards the basket. He's moving to his left, and either if you want to put it generously, kind of stops this thing and jumps straight up as opposed to continuing to drift, or actively jumps right and forces contact with Russell Westbrook. It got everybody angry at all the foul grifting and whatever. And that applies to SGA. People have complained about that with Harden, obviously, for years, Steph to some degree. And certainly in that group of players who look around for contact, you can put Austin Reeves. You can put Luka Dončić. I mean, look, this is actually one of the things, we'll get back to the Luka specificness of this in a second, but this is one of the things that I think is if you're looking for a potential weakness in the Lakers in the postseason, is that they have so many players who are, you know, foundationally getting to the free throw line is a big part of what they do. And so if you end up in a situation where Luka isn't getting the calls, where Reeves isn't getting the calls, or LeBron isn't, lesser degree, but just because he doesn't go as much anymore, that tends to pull people out of their offense. Even if you do get a call or get contact, sometimes you might have to spend 16 or 17 seconds of the shot clock trying to make it happen. And it ultimately and eventually ruins your kind of your rhythm on offense. That is actually something with the Lakers offense that I worry about. And a lot of it goes back to how Luka interacts with the refs and how he kind of moves past stuff.
And that was specifically the thing that I wanted to get into with Luka. Just the amount of complaining, the arguing, the demonstrativeness with referees, which we've seen a lot of during all the games since Luka's been a Laker, and frankly, throughout Luka's career. There was a sequence against the Nets where Luka was upset about contact not called under the basket, and he ended up Brooklyn got the ball after the miss and took it up court quickly, and Luka ended up basically lying on his back, I think, to prove a point to the refs, while the Lakers were stuck playing 4-on-5 defensively, and Brooklyn ended up getting a wide open corner three. And there's two pieces of this. There's the question of, should Luka go to the line more often than he does? And I think the answer is yes, in the same way that it could be that answer for a lot of superstar players, because they're so effing good. You often have to foul them in order to keep them from putting up 50 to 60 a night. And in the case of someone like Luka, who does do a fair amount of driving or, shielding guys off with his body, like a certain degree of seeking contact. It's different than the way Austin does it, but he is somebody that looks to draw defenders close to him. He'll often try to, draw those type of shooting fouls, or, even around the arc, stuff like that. Like, it's a part of Luka's game. And if you are asking me if the refs could call more with Luka, my answer would be yes, in the same way a lot of guys would have that complaint. But then there's the piece of how he handles it and the degree to which he flat out berates the referees over the course of a game. I don't think is helpful for him personally, because after a while, you're just going to either piss them off where you get a tech, or they're just going to drown you. They're just going to ignore you. Like, after a while, it's going to.
Well, if you're lucky, they ignore you.
Right.
That's the best case scenario, is if they ignore you.
Yeah. It's just going to become intentional white noise on their part, if for no other reason than to demonstrate, I'm not going to do this because you're demanding it. And I think there's also a trickle-down effect in the way some of your teammates handle adversity when the superstars are upset about a lack of calls. We talked before earlier in the season about the defense that the Lakers weren't playing earlier in the season, that we thought in a lot of ways was culturally set by the defense LeBron wasn't playing. And then we've seen the night and day difference. Once LeBron locked in, all those other dudes had no excuse but to follow suit. I don't think Luka is helping his own case. I don't think Luka is helping the team's case. And fairness is both a relevant question and totally beside the point. What matters is the effect on the team, the effect on Luka, and what comes from it. We can get into it after the break. James Worthy and Robert Ory in the Spectrum Sportsnet postgame show had some interesting thoughts about this as well. But just ultimately, I feel like this is nothing we didn't know about Luka or didn't expect with Luka, but you watch it and at times it's like, damn, dude.
It's part of the experience. I mean, we'll see. I mean, and I'm interested to see how the comments section, both from the Laker fans who are learning like we are, the sort of day-to-day of the Luka experience, with the fans that are following him from Mav sites to ours and all that, how they'll react to this show and my thoughts on this. So we'll see. I mean, I'd like to get your reaction too. We'll get to all that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Wayfair. Your home should reflect your style, and with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a huge home project, Wayfair has everything you need in one place. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece no matter what your space or budget is, and from cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials, outdoor must-haves, Wayfair has it all, and at prices that fit your budget. They've got easy shopping and delivery. The site made it simple to compare styles and have your order arrive fast with free delivery. And it's more than just furniture. I was surprised to learn that Wayfair has everything from storage solutions to patio decor, making it the ultimate go-to for all things home, or casa, or domo, as you would say home in Slovenian. Yes, I'm kissing up a bit because we're talking about Luka. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
This message is from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on the progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. This is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. So before we jump back into the Luka foul reaction culture kind of thing, I do want to shout out, like, there was a really fun and interesting story that Dan Wojcicki at the Times wrote over the weekend about Markieff Morris, who is sort of the undiscussed person in this whole trade scenario. Max Christie and Anthony Davis, obviously, headlining over there, and Luka. Morris's initial
people
reaction,
even wondering, could Maxi Kleber be potentially available during a deep playoff run, or he's got a contract that could be tradable this offseason.
Right. No, I mean, he's gotten a lot more attention than Markieff has. To be fair, Markieff's reaction reportedly when he was traded was, "Who want me?" I think is exactly what he said. Who would want me? Dan's piece, his story, was a good reminder that, like, there was a purpose beyond just math, although math honestly had a lot to do with it, or at the very least an upside to having Markieff Morris back, which is LeBron loves him and values his opinion and his presence. I missed him, LeBron told the Times of Morris. We've been in the foxhole together, obviously referring to 2020 and the title run there. We've been on the floor during big games together, and there's someone whose opinion I value very much when I come off the floor. He's watching it, he's seeing it. I'm happy to have him back. It's great to see him. And it's just a reminder, Andy, like, rosters are built around more than just the on-court talent. Is Markieff Morris going to play a lot for the Lakers? I hope not. But, like, if he didn't play in Monday's game when they're down to, like, nobody, including tall people. So, but, like, a roster space for somebody like that, whose voice matters in a title run, who has the respect of your 40-year-old superstar and can be honest and tell them, like, these types of players matter. So it's a good read, and good on Dan for doing the reporting.
Yeah, two quick things I would add to that. Just if you're looking for a direct comp from that 2020 championship run where Markieff Morris actually did play an important role. He was, I'd say, probably like the seventh man on that team, but he was often out there during closing minutes. He was the key to one of the keys to what I used to call playing medium ball, when they weren't as big as they could be, but they certainly weren't small. But if you're looking for a direct comp with Markieff Morris now to that 2020 season, I would look at Jared Dudley, because Dudley barely played on that team, but we covered that team. We were in the locker room practices on a regular basis. Jared Dudley's voice mattered a lot in that locker room, even though he rarely played. Like, similar to the way LeBron talked about Markieff Morris, his opinion on things mattered. And I think Markieff Morris is a lot like that. I think, for that matter, Luka values Markieff Morris. What the other thing I would say with Keith, in terms of whether or not Jordan Goodwin and or Trey Jemison III will eventually have their contracts converted, which would require, if they wanted to be playoff eligible, which would require cutting players. And, Cam Reddish's name comes up a lot. Alex Len's name comes up a lot. I've seen Shake Milton come up, but I've also seen Markieff Morris. Of the four people I named, I would say Markieff, if he's not the least likely to be cut, it's only because Shake Milton's contract structure makes him valuable as an offseason trade piece, because nothing's fully guaranteed. So if it weren't for that, I would say Keith would even be less likely to get cut than Shake, even though Shake is more likely to play than Morris. He matters culturally.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, the Lakers have two guys that they're probably going to add, and they have two guys who will be very easily cut without being missed. But it's a great point. Like, sometimes it's more important to have the voice. And honestly, too, like, would the coaching staff, if they needed 4 minutes from a player, they might want to lean into, similar to like a Tristan Thompson or something like that, for those short minutes where the guy's going to know exactly what to do and react in a way where that is predictable and all that stuff. They might keep him around just for that reason too. I mean, they're not asking for 36 minutes a night from Markieff Morris.
Might not ask for 36 minutes in total from Markieff Morris.
Again, I hope not. But if you needed 4 minutes or 7 minutes, or spread out over two halves, and you want somebody to go out and do a professional job and understand the assignment, probably, it wouldn't, I'll say this, it wouldn't shock me if there was a game in what hopefully is a long playoff run where Markieff Morris steps on the floor and you're like, whoa, they got 3.5 good minutes out of Markieff. That was really cool.
Here's an example that I remember from the 2001 finals, and then we'll get back to the Luka discussion. But in terms of veterans who made a difference, and I've never forgotten this because it was honestly in its own right kind of jaw-dropping. Ron Harper was a part of that 2001 championship team, but he did not play nearly as much as he did in 2000. And towards the end of it, he barely played at all. There was a game in the finals against the Sixers where the Lakers were just totally out of character, out of sorts. Things were just going weird. And Ron Harper, Phil Jackson put him into the game for like 7 minutes. He settled the whole thing down, scored like 5 points, then exited the game. And I don't think he played again the rest of the series. But I remember just like when he put in Harper, I was like, Ron Harper? And then by the end, I was like, oh, Ron Harper. He completely settled the entire game.
It was like
down.
his Kirk Gibson moment. He comes in, does really well, and that was his only appearance in the series. Yeah. So it's just I wanted to point that out because he is not a guy that we will hopefully spend much time talking about. If we do, things have probably gone wrong. But it was a cool little wrinkle about what's going on with the Lakers roster. So we'll restart the Luka thing now. And we'll carry it over into the break. I will tell you this, like, I get it. Like, this is a part of the Luka experience that we were all kind of anticipating and were promised, and we knew what it was. We've watched Luka play enough and we know he complains all the time. And, we're used to it to some degree, not like Kobe ever was above this sort of thing. He would ride a referee pretty hard and try to draw calls and all that sort of stuff.
LeBron is no stranger to it.
He is not. It's hard to find a star in the NBA who is just like totally chill with whatever the refs do or do not call. It looks different in person, and it is, in fact, as a fan, kind of annoying. Like, I get why people are just like, Luka, come on, dude. Like, that said, this to me, I've kind of baked this in as one of these things that like, it would be awesome if Luka had a better mindset about complaining about refs and things like that, and drawing technicals and these blackout moments that, that JJ talks about and all that kind of stuff. Every player has something that you would be like, God, I wish they would do this a little bit better, or I wish they would lead a little bit differently. But it never totally makes sense to me that Kevin Durant spends so much time getting worked up by what random people on Twitter say. But like, this is part of his process for Kevin Durant. And as much as it, I think, would benefit Luka to shift this part of his mental game, it seems to me that like, this is just part of his process. And I don't know what it looks like. People always assume, well, if you took that away, it would instantly elevate a player's game. And whatever the flaw is that you're talking about, especially in their kind of non-skill approach, like stuff like this, that if you just stop doing this, it would elevate your game so much. And I think that may be true in some cases, but I think sometimes when you start messing with a player's kind of fundamental character, their approach, their instincts on the court, and how they vent, how they release emotion, there is a downside risk to that. You start taking things away. If Kobe were, had a better feel for, let's not shoot, maybe we can distribute the ball a little bit more. Maybe we can be a little bit more egalitarian in how we do stuff, or, whatever it is. There was a risk that he wouldn't have been Kobe. That was part of the package, I think. And so, I mean, after the break, that is my feeling about Luka. Is like, I wish it was different, but I'm not going to worry about it because I just don't think it's something that that's going to change. I think it's just something that needs to be baked in and worked around to some degree. So let's see what you say about that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Skims. I am somebody that's super picky about underwear. I only like...
Famously.
Yep. I only like boxer briefs. I want them to have a certain feel, a very specific tightness and looseness. It's like Goldilocks. They got to be just right. And when I heard that we at Locked On could get some Skims underwear, my first thought was, I had no idea they even make men's underwear. But then my second thought was, am I going to like them? And the answer is, yeah, a lot. I tried both the 3-inch and the 5-inch boxer briefs, and they are both super, super comfortable, which is awesome. They don't bunch up. They're really soft. They feel really good between pants and skin. They look great too, like from a fashion aesthetic standpoint.
Shop doesn't even wear pants, just wants to run his Skims.
Absolutely. I get arrested, but it's still worth the comfort. Shop Skims Men's
good.
Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and let them know we sent you. This is the most important thing I'm going to say in this read. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Locked on Lakers. Again, the most important part of this whole thing. Shop Skims Men at skims.com.
So yeah, I mean, that's Andy, that's the sort of my feeling about this. Like, I wish it was different. I wish it was better. There are certain things about it that would certainly benefit the Lakers, because I 100% agree with you that the team takes its cues from its most important players. And I think the comp you made with LeBron and the sort of come to Jesus moment that they had after that Miami game, in terms of his effort defensively, has made a bigger difference than anything else they've done on that side of the ball. And it's certainly possible that if Luka knocked it off, other guys would respond and the Lakers would just be more locked in that way. I'm just not holding my breath for it to happen.
I'm not holding my breath for it to happen. Like you said, it's baked in. Like none of this is a revelation to me or something that I did not expect to happen. But talking about the particular effect of it, and it was something that in particular was interesting to me just because Ori and Worthy had their comments, which we'll get into in just a second. The idea of how much Luka would or would not change if he eliminated this part of himself, or, like the idea of, does he lose his passion? Like that's passion he plays with. It may be true. It may be complete BS.
Don't know.
Like do you
spend more time worrying about, are you somehow limiting yourself in how you
maybe,
do stuff?
or
maybe not. I don't know. It could be liberating. Don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I've always thought that when people talk about this way with, Draymond Green and that's just the passion that he plays with and, the knife's edge that he needs to walk in order to stay competitive. I'm like, BS. Draymond Green just doesn't want to change.
Well,
like that's
now.
what this is.
And he's been now Draymond, but I don't know.
He's been enabled for a decade, and some of this is how he markets himself, and it's part of the Draymond brand. And
and that's where I think the difference is, though, between Draymond and Luka.
Well, no, of course. And I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that Luka is doing this for external reasons. Right. I don't think that's even sort of it with Luka. My point being is it can be different on a case-to-case basis. And the idea that player X would lose that part of his edge if he did blank differently, I don't think we can really make that assessment in either direction.
I don't know. Yeah, absolutely.
As far as the comments that Ori and Worthy had, they were both pretty strongly of the opinion that Luka needs to, at the very least, do this differently, if not stop doing it at all. Ori talking about the refs, quote, they're human, they can hold grudges, they can have a blind eye to certain situations. And for me, the refs held the whistles a lot. It's definitely one of those things I used to harp on talking with Shaq and talking to Kobe. Just let it go. Let your play solve everything else. Because once you play hard and play the game the right way, things will work itself out. I felt like that got them out of rhythm, talking about the Lakers against Brooklyn, when guys were going to the hole, when the refs were holding their whistles. That can make you miss your shot. That can make you do so many other different things. Ori also talked about how it's on the coaching staff to rein these guys in too, to reset them, refocus them, encourage them just play. He said that Phil used to fine them, as he put it, just for the fun of it, $100 if they complain too much. But then probably have to bump that up in modern times. But still, James Worthy then too, and I think this is really what's important. There's a way to talk to the refs too. Usually, if you can contain yourself, it's not initially. It's like 2 plays later when someone's at the foul line, you walk over them and you say, hey, he got me. He fouled me. You don't want to embarrass the referees. There's a way that you can talk to them. And it's not the way Luka's talking to them, because they don't want to hear that right away. And they do make mistakes. They know that. And the thing I would add too, as high profile as Luka's always been, it's another level with the Lakers. And they're a team that already is attached to a narrative that they live at the line because the refs are in this league mandated tank for them. It's not true, but it doesn't matter. And I'm guessing that on a bunch of different levels, the refs are going to be more self-conscious in some ways about how Luka gets called, if for no other reason than to avoid the appearance of getting bullied into whistles or falling for a grift with more people watching now and more people paying attention. Luka's always gotten a lot of attention, but it is at another level now. And these guys do not like being shown up, and they know now when Luka is, in their minds, attempting to show them up, more people are seeing it, and that can lead to them digging in their heels even more. And none of this, by the way, or let me rephrase, a lot of this may be unfair to Luka. That may be true, but from a practical standpoint, it's beside the point. Fairness isn't the issue. It's how do you go about making it better?
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I mean, it is all empirically true. Everything that Worthy is saying, Luka could accomplish more of what he's trying to do with the referees by behaving differently. I don't think there's any question about any of that. And I wonder, I'm hopeful, he's just turned 26, right?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of career left, and guys grow, they evolve, they become different players. I realize he's not brand new in the league, but he's not been around for 15 years. And he's certainly not been around again I know this is what you were saying, but to go back to the Draymond example, to where this becomes kind of part of his, consciously part of the act.
No, I don't think it is with Luka at all.
I don't think it is at all. I think this is just emotional reaction to what's happening.
I think it's very organic to Luka's personality. Like
1,000%.
I've started reading Wonder Boy, the book by Tim McMahon about Luka Doncic's rise to where he is now. Tim is actually going to be a guest with us next week on Locked On Lakers. He's also going to be a guest on my ESPN LA 710 Lakers talk show the following week. So we're going to talk with Tim a lot. But in reading about Luka and his start in Spain and in different parts of Europe, like I think there's also some cultural differences in terms of what we might call demonstrativeness in the way sports in general are played in Europe versus America. Like it is heightened theater and passion,
there's all kinds of
and
stuff
insanity
behind it. Yeah, and I think it's 100% organic. I don't think this is an act. Because what's the point of the act? I mean, this is not professional wrestling. Over time, it would be great if he learns how to sort of modify this and do this in a different way, in a better way, in the same way that the Lakers are banking on the fact that over time he's going to get better about taking care of his body. Like the influence of LeBron is going to help him with that. LeBron barks at referees too, but he doesn't get teed up. Not often. And he very rarely, I think. I'm trying to remember. It's
not often. He does not.
It does not. And so, there's a way, like you say, there's a way to do these things, and it would unquestionably benefit him on the floor. I just, I like I said, it need the growth out of this space needs to be equally organic. It just needs to be like, it can't be mandated. It can't be something that is sort of beaten into him or whatever. Because like I said, in my opinion, at least, I think you just got to let the guy be who he is and accept that when he's right, and I don't think he's right yet, and the Lakers haven't seen a fully realized Luka yet, and statistically, he's already having an enormously positive effect on the lineup when he plays. His net rating and all that stuff is really good, and he still isn't playing at the level especially in terms of efficiency that he is to the standard that he's set. I just, it just needs to be an organic change that he is able to make over time in the context of how he does everything else. And in the meantime, we have to sort of accept as a basketball watching public and Lakers fans or whatever, that like 95% of what you get is awesome. The 5% kind of sucks. You wish it wasn't there.
Oh, I mean, look, if you're asking me if I think the relationship with the referees and those interactions, if that's going to be worth the total package with Luka, I mean, yeah, it already has been. Like that's not what I'm getting at.
And people could say I'm being too easy on him too. I don't know.
Sure. But where I think also this really matters now is during this period where, at least for the next couple of weeks foreseeably, at minimum, you're going to be without LeBron and you're going to be without Rui. And it's going to be more difficult. And therefore, everybody needs to be incrementally that much more focused than they already would try to be on the court. And you want to make sure that, as Orion and Worthy both said in the postgame, that the lack of calls weren't clearly taking you out of your game, because they're not in a position right now where they have the luxury of being taken out of the game a bit,
right, and
still coming out on top. Not with the guys they're missing.
No, that's
not
fair.
With the schedule.
That's a great point. And we'll see. I mean, they're getting to this place where the games are tighter, they're more meaningful, which means both the emotion gets higher, and you need that, you want that edge, you need that, and all that, and it can kind of fuel the adrenaline through a game. And then also the consequences of those moments are larger. I mean, what 11 and 40 Reeves and Luka were in Monday night's game, and the game was within 3. You can point to specific possessions like the one you did where Luka is on his back and Brooklyn goes down and gets a clean corner 3 as the
price that gets paid.
Yes, moments that can turn a game. The Lakers, despite all of that inefficiency and all of the turnovers and all of the offensive rebounds, were still within position to win that game if you change 2 or 3 possessions over the course of the game, and that was one of them. So anyway, it's a really fascinating sort of philosophical discussion about the nature of superstars and kind of what's good, could good be even better, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes going forward. In the meantime, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 33,000 subscribers to the channel. Do sign up for the newsletter. I forgot to pump that over the course of the show. LockedOnDaily.com. Click on Locked On Lakers and have the show delivered to you every day. We'll see everyone tomorrow.